Hello, this is Chris, Oz Radio Historian. The Voice of Korea, that is the Voice of North Korea's English language program for Thursday, the 11th of April, 2013. Recorded in Melbourne, Australia, via a Yaesu FRG 7700 receiver on 13650 kHz, 20 metres. The program commenced at 8 p.m. Melbourne time, or at about 05 hours UTC. The original program ran for an hour, but musical selections have been edited from this recording, cutting the running time of this podcast to about 33 minutes. And now a disclaimer. I do not endorse, support, or otherwise condone the broadcast of the Voice of North Korea, but just as I would have kept a listening watch on the broadcasts of Hitler before World War II, in common with many others concerned with international relations and peace, I'm concerned to inform myself about the content of these broadcasts. I'm glad that there are at least 300 hits on this site daily who presumably agree with me. The news broadcast on this session commences about 2 minutes after the opening interval signal.
This is Voice of Korea.
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 Now we begin the English language transmission from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea.
Here is a mixed chorus. Son of General Kim Il-sung. Here is a male chorus. Son of General Kim Il-sung.
You are listening to Voice of Korea News Hour. His Excellency Mahmoud Abbas, President of the State of Palestine, presents the floral basket to respect the Kim Jong-un on the occasion of the Day of the Sun, the birth anniversary of President Kim Il-sung, and the first anniversary of Kim Jong-un's election as first Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea. The floral basket was conveyed on Wednesday to Kim Yong-il, alternate member of the Political Bureau and Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, by Ismail Ahmad Muhammad Hassan, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the State of Palestine to the DPRK.
Respected Kim Jong-un received the gift from the General Director for Police of Mongolia. The gift for Kim Jong-un was conveyed by General Director Belligerence to the head of the delegation of the Ministry of People's Security of the DPRK on visit to Mongolia.
The Uganda National Preparatory Committee for celebrating the Day of the Sun was formed in Kampala on the 3rd. Present at the inaugural ceremony were officials of the government, political parties and organizations of Uganda. Invited there were the Korean ambassador to Uganda and his embassy staff member. The Secretary for Political Affairs of the Secretariat of the National Resistance Movement of Uganda called for holding a meeting, photo exhibition, film show, and various other political and cultural events on the occasion of the Day of the Sun.
Seminars on the exploits of the real leaders Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il were held in Kyrgyzstan, the Czech Republic, and Nigeria on April the 3rd and the 4th, on the occasion of the Day of the Sun and the 20th anniversary of the election of Kim Jong-il as chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK. Present there were many people, including personages of different sectors of those countries. Speakers at the seminars spoke highly of the immortal feats performed by the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il for the country and revolution, as well as for the cause of global independence. A message of greetings to respected Kim Jong-un was adopted at the seminar held in Nigeria.
Delegations of the General Association of Koreans in China, the Union of Democratic Korean Women in Japan, and the Central Association of Korean Nationals in Russia placed bouquets before the bronze statues of the great Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mansu Hill and paid respect to them on the 10th.
The Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK released Decree number 3105 on Monday. The decree saw the title of People's Artist and Merited Artist awarded to several artists and instrumentalists of the UNA's orchestra, including Sang Yong-mok on the occasion of the Day of the Sun.
Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of Gabon, Jean-Robert Goulongana, presented his credentials to Kim Yong-nam, President of the Presidium of the Supreme People's Assembly of the DPRK at the Monthly Assembly Hall in Pyongyang on Wednesday. Kim Yong-nam conversed with the ambassador.
Social scientific seminar on the line on accelerating both economic construction and nuclear arms build-up put forward by respected Kim Jong-un at the historic March 2013 plenary meeting of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea was held on the 10th. Present at the seminar were teachers, researchers, lecturers, journalists, and editors of the institutions of science, education, preservation of revolutionary relics, and the press, and the party cadre training institutions. Several papers were read at the seminar, including The Line on Accelerating Economic Construction and Nuclear Arms Build-Up, set forth by respected Kim Jong-un, is the justest line which guarantees a brilliant victory in the anti-US confrontation and in the building of a thriving socialist nation. The papers profoundly explained and proved the originality, scientific accuracy, truthfulness, and vitality of the line presented at the plenary meeting.
A symposium was held at the Pyongyang Grand Theater on the 10th to commemorate the 40th anniversary of publication of the famous work on cinema art by the great leader Kim Jong-il. Present there were Kim Gi-nam, Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, officials concerned, curators, artists, teachers, researchers, reporters, and editors. Speakers explained the originality, validity, and vitality of the ideas and theories expounded in the famous work on cinema art, published by the great Kim Jong-il on April the 11th, 1962 or 1973.
Korean workers and trade unionists held a meeting at the plaza of the party founding Memorial Tower, the agricultural workers at the Pyeonghwa Revolutionary Site, and the women's union officials and members at the plaza of the Tower of the Tsuchi Idea on Wednesday, on the occasion of the first anniversary of the election of respected Kim Jong-un as first Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and first Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK. Present at the meetings were officials concerned, officials and members of the organizations, and workers and agricultural workers. Reporters and speakers at the meetings praised the respected Marshal Kim Jong-un for demonstrating the dignity and honor of the country and nation with outstanding leadership ability, uncommon courage and confidence, and noble virtues.
young vanguards of Korea met before the bronze statues of the great generalissimos Kim Il-sung and Kim Jong-il on Mansu Hill on Wednesday to make a pledge to remain loyal to the leadership of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un true to the instructions of the generalissimos. A floral basket and flowers were laid before the bronze statues in the name of the participants. The participants caused clash after Chun Yong-nam, chairman of the Central Committee of the Kim Il-sung Socialist Youth League. Present on the occasion were officials concerned, officials of the Youth League, and youth and students.
The National Calligraphy Festival opened at the Pyongyang International House of Culture on the 10th on the occasion of the Day of the Sun. Participating there are calligraphers, enthusiasts, youth and students, and children across the country, and more than 300 calligraphic works were presented. Present at the opening ceremony were Kim Tae-nam, Secretary of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, and officials concerned, creators, enthusiasts, and working people, youth and students, and children in Pyongyang. Meanwhile, the Songhwa Fine Art exhibition opened that day on the same occasion.
The National Industrial Art Exhibition for celebration of the Day of the Sun opened at the National Industrial Arts Center in Pyongyang on the 10th. Presented to the exhibition are more than 600 pieces of designs and industrial art designs which were guided by respected Marshal Kim Jong-un, and more than 1,000 designs, products, and models of different kinds created at the Korean Industrial Art Studio, the Monthly Art Studio, and Provincial Industrial Art Studios, and created by teachers and students of educational institutions and industrial art amateurs. The opening ceremony was attended by officials concerned, creators of industrial art institutions, teachers, students, and fine art amateurs in different parts of the country.
The State Stamp Bureau of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea printed new stamps, 4 kinds of sheets, on the occasion of the Day of the Sun. Written on the stamps are the words "in celebration of the Day of the Sun," and printed on them pictures of plants presented to President Kim Il-sung as gifts by personages of different countries in praise of him.
Art Circle members of the Mangyongdae School Children's Palace gave a performance on Wednesday on the occasion of the first anniversary of the election of respected Marshal Kim Jong-un as first Secretary of the Workers' Party of Korea and first Chairman of the National Defense Commission of the DPRK. The performance started with a prelude, "We Extend Honor," included duet and chorus, "Our Marshal is the Best," instrumental music and serious songs, "We Sing of the Bosom of the Mother Party," dance, "Story of the Mother Bird," and various other items. The performance was appreciated by officials concerned, youth league officials, and school youth and children.
A 300,000 cubic meter hill was successfully blown up on Wednesday at the Honggon, the Tideland reclamation site, sitting with a campaign to greet the Day of the Sun with great successes. The blast has provided a guarantee to powerfully promote the fourth embankment reinforcement and first damming project of the second embankment.
DPRK weightlifter Kwon Young-kwang bagged 3 gold medals at the International Weightlifting Federation 2013 World Junior Weightlifting Championships held in Tashkent of Uzbekistan on April the 10th. He lifted a total of 258 kilograms, 116 kilograms in snatch, and 142 kilograms in jerk in men's 62 kilogram event. In the women's 53 kilogram event held earlier, Lim Eun-sing came second in snatch, jerk, and total respectively, winning 3 silver medals.
40 military attaches in Korea visited Mangyongdae, the birthplace of President Kim Il-sung, on Wednesday on the occasion of the Day of the Sun. They planted trees around his old home.
Delegations of the Union of Democratic Korean Women in Japan, the General Association of Koreans in the United States, and the Central Association of Korean Nationals in Russia, an art troupe of Koreans in the United States, and delegate of Internet Newspaper of Koreans in the United States, Means of Tangshin, arrived in Pyongyang by air, and the delegation of the General Association of Koreans in China by train on the 10th to celebrate the Day of the Sun.
A delegation of the Latin American Institute of the Tsuchi Idea and a delegation of the Far Eastern Association for the Study of Kim Il-sungism, Kim Jong-ilism of Russia flew in Pyongyang on the 10th to celebrate the Day of the Sun.
The spokesman for the General Bureau for Central Guidance to the Development of the Special Zone answered the Korean Central News Agency on 11th. The spokesman said, far from making an apology for their traitorous crimes, the South Korean authorities and war hawks slandered the important measures of the DPRK, expressing so-called disappointment and regret, and let loose a string of all sorts of sophistry to evade responsibility. The clan of the Samurai Party and other conservative politicians and reptile mouthpieces described them as climax of pressure on the South, threat-threatening according to detailed scenario, and CAD demanding surrender, adding fuel to confrontation. Worse still, even the mistress of the Blue House said the Kaesong Industrial Zone in good operation was suspended, international norms and premise were breached, and she wishes an end to the wrongdoing and correct choice. The present South Korean chief executive can never escape from the responsibility for putting the Kaesong Industrial Zone on the verge of closure, which survived even the time of regime of traitor Lee Myung-bak. It is an unpardonable traitorous crime to turn the Kaesong Industrial Zone, offspring of the June 15th Inter-Korean Joint Declaration, into hotbed of confrontation with fellow countrymen and source of war. If the South Korean puppets keep hitching upon and bantering our important measures, more irretrievable situation will be created. They should bear our warning in mind that the important measures are temporary and the future situation depends entirely on the attitude of the South Korean authorities, the spokesman stressed. Korean in Japan Park Tae-il, Japanese super flyweight champion, defeated a third Japanese challenger, Toyodo Shiraishi, in the defense of the Pro Boxing Championship in Kobe, Japan on March 31st. The boxing was appreciated by officials of the General Association of Korean Residents in Japan, Japan Wrestling Koreans, pro boxing fans, and Japanese people. That day, Park Tae-il won the match 3-0.
The director of the Institute of the Idea of Independence in the United States posted an article titled, "Why Do I Respect the North, My Homeland?" on internet homepage. The article praised the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is winning victory after victory in the anti-US struggle.
A Philippine Preparatory Committee was recently inaugurated in Manila to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the victory of the Korean people in the Great Fatherland Liberation War. Present at the inaugural ceremony were many people, including personages of different sections of that country. The reporter at the ceremony stressed that the Korean army and people wrought a miracle of history by winning a brilliant victory in the Fatherland Liberation War against the invasion of the would-be world's strongest U.S. imperialists and their followers, and called for significantly celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Korean people's victory in the war. The ceremony issued an appeal calling upon the organizations for friendship and solidarity with the Korean people and all countries to form preparatory committees for celebrating the 60th anniversary of the victory of the Korean people in the Fatherland Liberation War, and urged the United States to pull its troops and nuclear weapons out of South Korea and Asia-Pacific region and stop joint military exercises with South Korea. The appeal also called for expressing firm solidarity to the Korean people in their struggle to reunify the country independently and peacefully, and conducting activities to introduce the reality of the DPRK, and denounced the aggressive movements of the United States and the South Korean authorities on the occasion of July 27, the day of victory of the Korean people in the war.
The French Korea Friendship Association and the Nigerian National Committee for the Study of the Tsuchi Idea, in their recent statements, fully supported the special statements of the DPRK government, political parties, and organizations. The Maritime Territorial Committee of the Russian Youth Union and the Finnish National Committee for the Study of the Tsuchi Idea issued statements in support of the Korean army and people in the anti-US struggle. Eduardo Artes, first secretary of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Chile, proletarian exile, in an interview with the Chilean newspaper Mundo on the 1st, condemned the U.S. imperialists and their stooges for their aggressive moves against the DPRK.
The Chinese internet homepage Media4 recently posted an article under the title, "International Situation Today is Decided by Korea." The article said the structure of DPRK-US confrontation has fundamentally changed due to Korea's possession of news. Gone is the day when nuclear powers control the international situation, and the international situation today depends on the DPRK. And that's the end of the news, read by Lee Sang-sim and Seo Nam. This is Voice of Korea. The daily Rodong Sinmun of the DPRK carried a commentary on Thursday under the title, "Crimes of Slander and Insult to be thoroughly settled accounts with." The commentary said recently, Joseon-ilbo, Donga-ilbo, and other conservative media of South Korea are slandering the new strategic line of the Workers' Party of Korea on accelerating economic construction and nuclear arms build-up simultaneously, saying it is a provocation with an attempt at nuclear armament, and the North's behavior is increasingly dangerous. They go so far as to revile the dignity of the supreme leadership of the DPRK and its social system with unpardonable outbursts, distorting the prevailing situation on the Korean peninsula and misleading the public opinion. It is a despicable and dishonest insistence of the South Korean authorities and the quasi media following them to besmirch the image of the DPRK and escape from the responsibility for the aggravated tension of the Korean peninsula. The war criminals of the conservative media who ridicule the destiny of the nation, hatching a secret plot with the confrontation fanatics and schemers, will pay dearly for their crimes. That was the gist of commentary under the title, "Crimes of Slander and Insult to be Thoroughly Settled Accounts with," carried in the daily Rodong Sinmun of the DPRK on Thursday. This is Voice of Korea.
Winner prisoner meal chorus. General Kim Jong-il, peerless patriot. Here is an orchestral music, A Soldier's Wish. Sincerity of a schoolgirl. In the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, Kim Il-sung Festival is grandly held every year on the occasion of the Day of the Sun, April the 15th, the birth anniversary of the great leader journalist Kim Il-sung. Kim Il-sung is the flower named after the great leader President Kim Il-sung. With reverence for him, former Indonesian President Sukarno named so the beautiful flower which was bred by an Indonesian botanist. The flower festival in praise of the great man draws many people, as well as ministries, national agencies, and different levels of industrial establishments. First student Kim So-young at East Pinyon Secondary School No. 1 in Pinyon cultivates Kim Il-sung as well at home and presents them to the festival every year. Her mother, Choi Sung-sung, says, 우리 소리가 김일성을 싫어한다고 하길 처음에는 우려했습니다. 그런데 학교에서 배우면가 when my daughter wanted to cultivate Kim Il-sung, I was worried about it at first. But she went so far as to teach my husband and me how to cultivate it on the basis of the knowledge she learned at school and the cultivating technology she learned in a greenhouse. We were surprised. We thought she's really laudable. Kim So-young is learning to her heart's content and the benefits of the universal free compulsory education system. Whenever she was provided with new school uniforms in all seasons and school fees and new textbooks on the occasion of the new school year, she felt gratitude to the state. She felt thanks to the great leader Generalissimo Kim Il-sung, who regarded the children as kings of the country and established the superior educational system for them to learn and grow up without anything to envy in the world. So she made up her mind to cultivate Kim Il-sung, representing her precious mind to hold him in high esteem forever. It was not easy to cultivate Kim Il-sung, but Hyun Sil-young called them famous doctors and horticulturists of the Central Botanical Garden to learn the cultivating methods one by one. She called on a favorite relative to get humus soil. In those days, her heart burned with a broader will to devote her pure loyalty to the great Generalissimo Kim Il-sung. In April, a few years ago, those flowers cultivated with her sincerity came into full bloom. Kim Il-sung cultivated by her were presented to the festival every year. Her mind more significantly glorified the day of the sun, though every day. In high appreciation of her sincerity, the state awarded the certificates to her several times. Her younger sister, Hyun Bin-jung, is also helping her sister in cultivating Kim Il-sung. Hyun Sol-young has this to say.
저는 이제 김일성을 도전해서 올해 태양장 말씀에 진행되는
I will draw Kim Il-sung as well and present them to the 15th Kim Il-sung Festival this year. Hyun Bin-jung says,
저도 엄마와 함께 김일성을 제가 경연을 인정하니까 꼭 기쁨을
helping my sister, I will also grow the flower as well and give a pleasure to respected Marshal Kim Jong-un. The sincerity of our children across the country makes our country a sea of beautiful flowers. You've been listening to the content title, Sincerity of a Schoolgirl. This is Voice of Korea. Please enjoy your female trio in mixed bangchang. Let us sing of the day of the sun. Now, you enjoy your female solo in mixed bangchang. My country is the Ethiopia's country.
South Korean marionettes are accomplices and protagonists of nuclear threat. The South Korean marionettes are behaving ridiculously, more loudly talking about nuclear threat of the North than others, and blaring about strong countermeasures. It is a despicable act to cover up the truth behind the nuclear threat of the Korean Peninsula and their criminal nature. Successive South Korean regimes not only connived at and encouraged the shipment of U.S. nuclear weapons into South Korea, but also actively partook in the U.S. North-targeted nuclear war moves. Through the signing of the Mutual Defense Pact with the United States in October of 1953, the South Korean marionettes legalized the permanent occupation of South Korea by the U.S. forces and laid the judicial framework for the United States to bring in and deploy nuclear weapons at any parts of South Korea. From 1978, they stipulated in the joint statement of the annual Security Consultative Meeting with the U.S. Master with the official expression of provision of nuclear umbrella. In the 1980s, they were the first to introduce the neutron bomb named the devil weapon of the 20th century in collusion with the United States. In November 1991, they signed a wartime support agreement with the United States, allowing shipment of latest nuclear war equipment such as nuclear carrier, nuclear submarine, and strategic bombers into South Korea, not only in case of contingency of the Korean Peninsula, but also at ordinary times. While actively partaking in the U.S. nuclear war moves, South Korea secretly promotes the development of nuclear weapons. Especially the Park Chung-hee military dictatorial regime mapped out an ambitious plan on developing nuclear weapons and began to plan nuclear fuel processing in 1968 and set up a nuclear missile development group in 1974 and the nuclear fuel development zone in 1976. In September 1978, it tested a nuclear-capable ground-to-ground missile White Bear developed by the Defense Science Institute. In 1982, South Korea signed a contract to introduce high-speed breather technology with the Burns and Rock Company of the United States, saying the reprocessing facility with annual capacity of 250 tons should be operated from 1992 and expanded to the 1,000-ton scale under the pretext of management of used nuclear fuel. In November 1985, it completed the facility to extract plutonium and operated it in real earnest from 1987. South Korea also developed nuclear-capable missiles and deployed them for action in 1987 and concentrated efforts on the development of other nukes carrier means. Its nuclear development continued even after the publication of the North-South Declaration on Denuclearization in 1991 and during the dialogue and negotiations for the solution of the nuclear issue between the DPRK and the United States. In 1998 and 2003, traces of the extraction of plutonium were found at the reactors of South Korea, causing worldwide criticism. South Korea also viciously hindered negotiations for denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. When an agreement on resuming the third-stage DPRK-US talks was reached in July 1994, South Korea immediately dispatched an ambassador for nuclear affairs of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and made all efforts to deter the progress of the negotiations by coercing the United States. Kim Young-sam directly told the U.S. New York Times that the United States is too compromising and makes too great concession to the North, and in the end begged for UN sanctions and resumption of the Team Spirit joint military exercises. Traitor Ri Myung-bak and his gang obstructed the DPRK-US talks, alleging that the nuclear issue of the North jeopardizes peace and stability of the Korean Peninsula and hinders the development of South-North relations. They also ran wild to realize international sanctions under the pretext of the peaceful man-made Earth satellite of the DPRK, insisting it is long-range missile launch. When a resolution on sanctions was cooked up at the U.S.-sponsored UN Security Council, they warmly welcomed it. And when the DPRK succeeded in the third underground nuclear test as a powerful countermeasure against it, they made much ado talking about sanctions of high intensity and additional sanctions. Facts clearly show that the South Korean marionettes are the dirty accomplice and protagonist of the nuclear threat on the Korean Peninsula, backed by outsiders. You've been listening to an account under the title, South Korean Marionettes are accomplice and protagonist of nuclear threat. This is Voice of Korea.
Please appreciate native colors. Our rifles will not forgive them.
With this, we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Southeast Asia between 5 and 6 hours UTC on 14,650 kHz and 15,105 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz and 13,650 kHz. For Middle East and North Africa, between 16 and 17 hours UTC on 9,890 kHz and 11,645 kHz. and between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 9,875 kHz and 11,635 kHz. For Southern Africa, between 19 and 20 hours UTC on 7,210 kHz and 11,910 kHz. And for Central and South Americas, between 4 and 5 hours UTC on 11,735 kHz, 13,760 kHz, and 15,180 kHz, and between 10 and 11 hours UTC on 11,710 kHz and 15,180 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.